Everybody, back to another episode of Thirsty Thursday. Today we are going to explore some of the best cocktails that you could probably put with seafood. I know you're thinking, Michelle, what? Here's the thing. When you're down in Key West or wherever you're at enjoying seafood, we usually have our go-to stick-to things that we drink. But as we start to explore different seafood options or different meals, or sometimes we just get stuck in a rut and we really need and should try something new. And I thought, no better day than Thirsty Thursday to explore the idea of here's some pairings that you might want to try. Now, we all know about white wine goes great with seafood, red wine goes great with red meat. And some of those rules have actually just kind of been thrown out the window because it's drink what you like. And I get that. And I'm just as guilty as anybody of getting stuck in that rut and having the same thing and not trying something new. But here's my challenge. Whenever you go down to Key West, or when you're just out and about and you're trying something, some seafood, try something different with it to see if it complements that meal just a little bit more. So let's look at some of these. And I did a little bit of diving into the Google machine there, and he came up with some expert approved cocktail pairings that would supposedly enhance the taste of a fresh seafood. And we talked a little bit about exploring new things, getting out of those ruts. But why is pairing matter? The taste of the cocktail will enhance the seafood experience, and sometimes it takes away from because it could be too heavy of a drink, or it has the wrong flavor balance and it's just fighting with what you're trying to eat. And you know, when you have something that's not working and you just kind of go, which one is off? That's why we want to make sure that we balance our cocktails with our seafood. I know it sounds very complicated, but really it's not. All we want to make sure of is we have the right acidity matching the seafood, we have the sweetness, we have those botanicals or those aromas that we want to enjoy as we have our seafood. It's a way to elevate the evening. So let's say you're having everybody over for a shrimp boil, or you're doing some fish on the grill, doing some fish tacos, making some ceviche or something. Think about putting out a cocktail tasting along with that in your back tiki bar in your backyard and see how it takes that evening to a different level. Let's dig into some ideas here. If you're having oysters or fresh fish, consider a gin and tonic. With the gin, you get those bright citrusy notes, those botanicals. You get that little squeeze of lemon, or I prefer lime with mine. And sometimes I've seen them where that you can put a little bit of cucumber ribbon in. It's those clean, bright flavors. And it's perfect whenever you're having raw scallops because it's got that bright punch, or classic fish dishes. Add a little bit, here's a little tip for you. Add a little bit of olive oil and cracked pepper to your oysters for that elevated experience. And Melissa's in the comments saying rum makes everything better. Oh, you bet it does. And we're getting to some of those rum drinks. Speaking of rum, try a mojito with shrimp tacos or ceviche. You've got that sweetness from the white rum. You've got the fresh mint. You have lime juice and that splash sometimes of club soda. So it's refreshing, it's bright, and it balances great with the boldness of the shrimp. And especially if your ceviche has a little bit of jalapeno in it, or you put some little bit of hot sauce on your tacos, that brightness from that mojito will actually cleanse the palate and not make it so hot. How about a margarita? I mean, come on. It's summer, it's seafood, it's everything that we love. So, of course, we're going to have a margarita with grilled shrimp or a fish taco. It's a classic frozen margarita, or maybe you want it on the rocks. I think I like my margaritas on the rocks, but I could see where a nice classic frozen one would be amazing with grilled shrimp. Or take it to that next level and do one of those flavored margaritas. Think about a watermelon margarita with your shrimp or fresh fish tacos. I can talk today. You're going to salt your rim. Some people like a little bit of salt, some people like a lot of salt. I'm leaning more towards a little bit of salt. But think about salting your rim maybe with something that's a little briny because it's going to match to that seafood, maybe a little bit of Old Bay seasoning if that's what you're putting into your fish tacos. Think about mixing some of those spices that you're putting into your taco into that rim so that it connects. Here's a drink I had not heard of, and now I really want to have and try this. It's called French 75, and you can make it with cognac, you can make it with gin, but it's that and some lemon juice and some champagne. So it's very light, it's fizzy, it's bright, and it will cut the richness of a lot of those richer seafoods such as oysters and sushi. It's a great classic cocktail to have if you're doing something very upscale. And here's some other stellar pairings that maybe you didn't think about, but maybe you should. How about a Bloody Mary with a shrimp cocktail or crab cakes? Can you see how that Bloody Mary is just going to enhance the flavor of a crab cake? You have the Worcestershire sauce in the Bloody Mary, hot sauce. Maybe you do a fancy build it of your own type experience like they do down at Ram's Head. And you put all the bells and whistles on that Bloody Mary. But that Bloody Mary can be bold and spicy or just a little bit of spice. And you can interchange those spices. I love a dry martini. So how about a dry martini with smoked salmon or oysters? You can see how that's just going to perfectly balance the heaviness and the meatiness of salmon. It's going to have that lemon twist in there. So it's going to enhance the salty and smoky flavor from that salmon. And it's great for a seafood dinner with those subtle, clean flavors. If whiskey is your thing, think about a whiskey sour with lobster tails or a lobster roll. Yeah, think about that. Next time you're in Key West, grab a lobster roll to go from DJ's, head over to some place and grab a whiskey sour and then have yourself a picnic. Imagine that. But you have the tartness from the whiskey sour because you've got that citrus bite from the sour mix. And then you just have that little hint of sweetness. And then that combines in with that butter that is in that lobster roll. I think that's going to be amazing. If you wanted to do a little more citrusy bite to it, think about putting in maybe some orange juice or a blood orange juice into that whiskey sour just to give it that little more oomph that you're looking for. One of my favorite drinks, and honestly, I can't have more than one of these things, is a Negroni. But that Negroni with grilled shrimp or seared scallops, because those Negronis have that bitterness to them, and they're very herbaceous. A Negroni has that absolute unique flavor, but it adds those earthy tones that you would want maybe with a grilled shrimp just to offset that. What about ranch water, which is basically tequila, lime juice, and a little bit of soda water or sparkling water that goes into it. So it's tequila with a little bit of soda water, so you really get the enhancement of the tequila. You get that brightness, you get the citrusy notes. Lean in more if you're doing a fish taco on the grill, lean more into the smokier sides of the tequilas so you pick up those smoky notes and then I'll match the smokiness coming off those fish on the grill. Am I making you hungry? I'm making myself hungry. As you set these up and you're doing tastings at home or setting up this cocktail that's going to complement what you're making for your backyard tiki bar, make sure you're using ice cubes and they're pretty. There's something to be said about ice cubes versus a bag of ice. I know sometimes we're just stuck with a bag of ice, but if you can make some nice ice cubes, especially if you're doing a whiskey drink, you get those nice big round ones and you plan ahead. Make sure you're making them fresh. Have a cocktail shaker look like you know what you're doing. Put together some side dishes that also complement what you're serving with your cocktails and your seafood. You can have sweet corn or fruit-forward desserts, fruit salsa, things like that. And don't forget that those little extra things that you're adding to the seafood or that you can put in your rim of your margarita are just going to add that much more to the cocktail. So you can have those fresh herbs that are going in, like in your mojito, maybe some Old Bay seasoning to go into your rim of your margarita. And it's a little bit of olive oil that's going to tie that richness that you're going to be looking for on your seafood. So the next time you experiment with a cocktail pairing, do it next time that you're making it at home, or you're in Key West, or you're at home and you just hit your local restaurant. Try something different. Step out of your comfort zone. I would have to say that my comfort zone is definitely a glass of Pinot Grigio. That seems to go with everything. But I have to say, sometimes I'm just not in the mood for a Pinot Grigio. I want to try something new, a different flavor, a different profile. And I think that just makes that meal that much more memorable. Because when you go back home off of vacation, you can go, hey, remember we had those fish tacos and we had that amazing margarita with it? It just makes it that much more memorable. And as Melissa pointed out earlier, rum goes with everything. So experiment with rum drinks. Do you want a light rum drink like a mojito? Or maybe you're going to go into something that has more of a darker rum, a dark and stormy or something. Even experiment around with some of the local craft beers that you can try. Some of them, as they come out for summer, are a little lighter, a little brighter. Some of them have a lot more citrus notes, so they would go really well with some of the other the seafood that you're looking at. So you can see it's not that complicated. I threw out some ideas. If you have your favorite combination that yours is your go-to, let me know. I want to know how you guys pair your cocktails with your seafood. When you're walking around and experimenting and checking, not walking around and experimenting, but when you're walking around places like Key West, there's so many choices. And I don't want you to be stuck in a rut just because you're on vacation. Get out, explore, have fun. Let me know what restaurant offered you the best cocktail seafood combination that you tried, and we'll add it to the list. In the meantime, I'm going to tell you, head over to FunInKeyWest.com. Lots of information on there of where to drink. Sign up for our happy hour list that gets you on our newsletter, keeps you in the know of what's happening with Fun in Key West and what's happening in Key West. And did you know we launched a book club? Yep, it's amazing. It's fun. It's awesome. We are starting a new book. It is the first of the month. And if you want to know what it is and be part of the fun and be part of the conversation, sign up for the book club and then head over and ask to be part of our private Facebook group for that. There is so much going on. You will not believe it. So you guys enjoy your day. Oh, and if you're looking for cocktail ideas, I totally forgot about this. At FunInKeyWest.com, head to our island-inspired recipe section, and there's a whole section on cocktails. How to make them, homemade mixes like sour mix, and all of that is there. Enjoy it. Have fun. Enjoy your day. You guys, I will see you later.